final pick coming out from Bren Esports. I mean,
Oh
probably
dear.
jungler. They could go for that Ozo, but you're going up against Visor.
Yeah, the problem is you either pick a Saw counter or you pick a Rhyme counter. Those two are not normally very similar style of heroes. Saw is going to destroy so much. What was being picked here by Renegades is they made me happy with the Saw. They've made you happy with a Churn Walker. And so they're just looking to make the casters happy today. I think a Sky would work fine against this comp. It's quite good against Saw. If you go CP Sky, you can just outrange him and poke him down before he gets any basic attacks on you. Works really well against the Rhyme as well. But even then, could be in a lot of trouble. If Churnwalker lands a chain, you're going to get locked down, you're going to get deleted, torment you closer, stun you, you're dead to Saw in a couple of basics. Samuel, very similar idea to Sky.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time we end up seeing this Vox and Samuel end up on the same team. I don't know if there's a specific synergy there, or if it's just because they're good response picks in a lot of situations. That you want to pick up Vox because, well, he's a great laner, and you want to pick up Samuel because he tends to be able to keep his distance from a lot of these picks, such as if a Rhyme gets through. But what we might be seeing here is if that Churnwalker is able to land the hooks and chains, you are not escaping the Saw Rhyme comp. I think it's just such a great comp coming out from the side of Renegades, and I'm going to put my money on that one.
Yeah, in 2.9 especially, it's a fantastic composition. I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. I've saved it. Saw Rhyme is a great composition. It just has so much team fight and so much... If a fight actually breaks out, they're going to win because Rhyme beats anyone in a brawl and Saw destroys everyone. And so the real only chance that there is for Bren Esports is don't start the fight properly. Just have Samuel poking, maybe get a Dragon's Eye into Clockwork. I'd love to see that build on Samuel. It's really good against this kind of comp as well. You just poke at the start of the fight. Don't let yourself get engaged on. As soon as they start to try and engage, Lyra, portal away, sigil away, and just disengage. And you let them try and chase you, which is very tough for a Saw to do, especially when Saw hasn't got Lyra himself.
Yeah, I think that it really relies on the side of Renegades catching out the enemy, which is still another thing that when we see these Vox and Samuel pickups, they're quite elusive and quite hard to actually catch up. But if you get that surprise, if you're right next to them, if they dare face check a bush, we've talked about this before with Samuel, especially going up in the jungle against a Rhyme. If Rhyme is patient enough or has good enough rotations, then should be able to catch up at Samuel. However, it's going to be on Lyra's back to keep a vision up in their own jungle to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I definitely think that Samuel can't be too aggressive because if he does let himself get caught out by face checking a bush where Rhyme is, he's dead. He has to have his distance before the fight starts. So when Rhyme boots is in, Samuel can boots away and keep his distance. Because Rhyme isn't the best at chasing, but is great at lockdown if he manages to get on top of you. So it's a pretty standard draft from both teams. I would agree that I really like what Renegades have got. I'm very excited to see how they play this Churnwalker. Whether we're going to see lots of early game aggression, just going into the jungle, no fear, chain the minions, chain an enemy hero if you can, and get as much damage spread across all of those targets.
Yeah, and I think that it's tough to say how this side of Bren Esports can win against this. I think if they scale up well enough into the late game, they might have a chance at and just winning out with the general poke if they're able to keep their distance. But I think that's a lot of a factor in this fight, keeping your distance from the enemy. But Churnwalker is very good at denying that. And Rhyme and Saw, in some sense, especially Rhyme, very good at getting on top of those situations. Saw, I mean, you could put down the suppressing fire, and as long as your team can bring the enemy closer to you or keep them closer to you, you're going to have a good time, especially with no one who can actually jump on you as Saw. I don't see a squishy Vox or a Samuel necessarily wanting to go right up in the face of Saw.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see any aggressive Lyra portals in this game. You're not going to have your Vox and your Samuel jumping in onto a Saw and then there's Rhyme and Churnwalker right next to you. It's not going to work out very well. I'd expect to see high prioritization on boots for Saw because he doesn't need that much damage in this game. He just needs to be able to stick on top of Vox, get on top of Samuel, and that boots will really help him do that. Early journey boots, perhaps even picking up 2 sets of boots so he can use them one after the other. We're going to have to wait and see what he decides to go for as we are loading into the House to Unfold for the first game. Let us know which team you think is going to take this series. Is it going to be Renegades with their Rhyme and Saw, or will Bren Esports come through with the poke comp? I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I'd love to see very, very early aggression from Renegades. Just go in for the jungle and fight them.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Renegades decide to do. It looks like they're going for that mid-rotation, and as expected of the side of Bren Esports with their comp, you really want that Samuel to get the level 2 before fighting, but Renegades have, well, so he can get spun up slowly but surely, and Chingy with those Winter Spires should be good enough on their own. Does manage to secure the outer triumph for their team. They're not going to go full aggression here and just dive on into their enemy jungle, knowing that Limauer on that Samuel will soon have the level 2 for the Drifting Dark, which we see them pick up here. But it means now when Bren Esports rotate up to this lane, they can put a lot of pressure down. And Tezaboy and Masora, meanwhile, still stayed around in Renegade's jungle to go clear that out.
SNK taking a lot of poke and then trying to get 3 chains. He did succeed, but immediately forced to pop his flask and his boots to survive that gank that was put on in the lane. So Tezaboy now up in lane, he'll be able to clear this wave very quickly. Guessing X will have nothing that he can do against this Saw. Tezaboy trying to start step as best he can, and there's going to be quite a bit of pressure. Mr. Jim, if he does get, if Saw does be aggressive and try and stand on top of the minions, this Fox will be in a lot of trouble.
Yep, and we will see SNK trying to throw the hooks up, and minions actually aggroing onto him. Meanwhile, Chingy in the jungle, fine on his own. As we mentioned that this Rhyme, I guess prior to the nerf in the current 2.10, he's got quite a quick clear speed in the jungle and is able to do very well on his own early on, whereas the new Rhyme kind of needs a bit more time to get through there, and they've gone for more of a case where Rhyme doesn't actually do as much damage but can technically stay alive longer. So yeah, that's what they've gone for there. Tezaboy just rotating to get that ambient gold, and we might see Chingy even go up to help for the gank as lane being pressured by all 3 members. They get the hook and chain, but Torment onto Guessing. Here comes Chingy, not quite able to find the Winter Spire into the Chilled Winds, however, so we'll probably have to back out that one, because when we talked about poke comp coming out from the side of Bren Esports, I think it sits heavily on the shoulders of that Samuel being able to poke down the enemies from afar.
One person that does not have to run away is Tezaboy on this Saw. He's just so aggressive against Mr. Jim. The farming for Vox is really hard. The Protector contract that SNK's picked up is massive in the lane. As soon as Guessing X tries to get a little bit of poke, SNK goes, nope, I just protect my Saw, and you now deal negligible damage. He's going to be full health. I don't even need 9 guards.
Well, meanwhile, in the jungle, we see Chingy jumping onto Limauer on this Samuel, and the Drifting Dark is gone. You're surely dead, Limauer. You're just extending the inevitable. You will die, and there is the first blood going over to the side of Renegades, and we talked about this. If in the early game, if the Rhyme gets any chance to get on top of Samuel, he's going to win that fight. Now, it was interesting to see Samuel trying to push Rhyme out of that jungle, but Chingy just turned around and he's like, you want to fight? You want to duel, mate? And just turns around on him, pokes him down, and eventually gets a kill. Nicely rotated him back up to the outer triangle kindly, but look at that, Mr. Jim able to pick up the Samuel, and I am surprised there.
Yeah, what happened was SNK got hit by the basic attacks and Resonance bounced onto Tezaboy, who was trying to port home. So Saw unable to port home, which meant that he had to turn and fight. He was too low, and then obviously he wasn't able to fight the Vox in the 1 versus 1 because Vox was full health, Saw was about 1/5 health. But it was actually quite a close fight. Tezaboy now gone home working towards that Solar Blade. Mr. Jim has already picked up Poison Shiv. Why do we keep seeing Poison Shiv first on Vox every game, regardless of who you're up against? You're only up against the Rhyme who's going to have sustain. Yes, Churnwalker will, but that's not important to you. Why are we not seeing more damage on this Vox to try and out-damage the Saw?
Well, I think that going for this sustain just works more into that comp of continuously poking down the enemy, but I understand your point there of it would be nice to see a bit more damage, but look at this, they're still managing to do so with their comp. They are putting a 3-man pressure up in this lane, but Chingy coming up from behind looking for something. Guessing is low, will get rooted by the Chilled Winds, taken down first. The Valkyrie does not hit onto Mr. Jim. I think SNK might pull them out there. Tezaboy gonna run away from that Oblivion with the roadie run. But look at this, Bren Esports still, even without the Lyra, able to stay around and have that sustain, picking up another kill with that poke that they have available. Mr. Jim going deep under turret, but Chingy coming back up for the rotation, might be able to catch out someone. He goes onto Limao, looks like it's going to be the kill, and Mr. Jim has to run away now with Boy putting that suppressing fire down, but ooh, you can see that they just don't have the sustain to keep his Saw up in lane, as he's not going for that Serpent's Mask build, he's going for a damage build.
Oh, there's a little bit of a bait with a healing flask and a fountain popped by Boy. He's going to go back to full health, basically. Mr. Jim is going to be pulled into the suppressing fire, but I don't think too much is going to happen in the lane because Boy can pick up a Soul Blade when he goes back to shop, so he doesn't really want to fight. Shingy is doing an awful lot of work in these team fights, but isn't quite managing to secure kills. Maybe that Shatterglass pickup will help them.
Yep, maybe indeed with Shatterglass now onto Chingy. You can see that being followed up with an Eve of Harvest just to help stay a bit more sustained in these fights. But I don't think it's Chingy that needs to be sustained so much. I'm a bit worried about Boy in this situation because really going up against the poke coming out from the side of Bren Esports, they're able to keep their distance. It's what we talked about being one of the win conditions for them. So going over to that of Mr. Jim's build, he's complemented the poison shift with attention bow. He's got the sustain, but then he's also got those moments of burst in the early game. There's going to be the Valkyrie onto that Guessing and Limao. They stun out Guessing more than likely to go down on this Lyra, pops the Fountain of Renewal, but looks like everything's a bit too late. The sleep lands onto Chingy, but the rest of Bren Esports having to back off for now. SNK, not really, I haven't seen him be able to put this Churnwalker to full use. Of course, he's been able to pull some people in with that of his Torment, but other than that, he really hasn't been making use of the futility of life perk, and we'll see him rush in there with boots to hook up Limauer into that Chill Winds. Great play, but Limauer manages to dodge out, so does Mr. Jim, and they're going to be able to go back to base safely.
Both members of Bren Esports so low, but they do survive. Boy was a bit low for him to try and contest it anyway. One thing that Samuel and Vox are doing great is they're just out-poking this Saw. There's nothing he can do about it. He goes down to half health before he can try and get within range of you, because Vox has that tension bow proc, so every 6 seconds, Vox will out-damage Saw with one basic attack, and then after that, Vox just backs off. Saw has done one basic, but Vox has done more with his tension bow proc. Samuel can get a Malice and a Verdict onto Saw before he's able to dodge it, because he just can't. But one thing Renagades are doing really well is in that team fight, there was a Torment into a Valkyrie. In the team fight before, the Valkyrie missed because it wasn't quite coordinated. But that time, much better. SNK winning Candy in this wave, they want to fight.
Yeah, they are looking for a possible engagement here as they're pushing up a Saw fully spun up, but SNK not hitting those chains. And I did say it would be quite difficult for them to do so against these mobile targets, but he finally manages to get one onto Mr. Jim, but no follow through with the CC. There's going to be a very nice CC chain, as I do mention that the trespass into the Valkyrie with Vox, nowhere to escape, no way of healing out of that one, and they will take him out. So it would just be a bit better to see SNK utilizing that onto all members of Bren Esports if they're able to do so.
Well, SNK, oh, Boy.
Boy getting caught out in the Oblivion, but you can see Chingy rushing under the turret onto Limao, and Limao is so very low, but they're not going to fall just yet. Boy trying to stand his ground, but you can see the tension bow really starting to hurt this Saw as he pushes onto him. There's going to be Chingy once again coming back into the fight. Never ending, it's just relentless at this point, and Renagades want this second turret. I'm not sure if they'll be able to take it right now, however, as they have no minion wave to do so, and it looks like Bren Esports just going to chase them out of their jungle. SNK turning around with that of the hook and chain, but just to get them to bugger off and go away.
Yeah, Boy can pick up his first Tyrant's Monocle, so nice damage power spike for him. Probably going to buy an infusion or work towards a bit more damage. Yeah, going for that lucky strike. Really trying to outburst this Vox because he can. But what Mr. Jim is doing, you saw it in that team fight a lot, was he just basic attack with tension by proc, back off. Basic attack with tension by proc, back off. And he'd do that every 6 seconds whenever it was up. And Saw can't out damage that. He can't try and beat a Vox who is just poking, especially with Samuel and Lyra, to just heal up every few seconds.
Yeah, and we will see that the whole team of Bren Esports really trying to stick together now that they're onto their second turret already, and they know that the side of Renegades, if they catch out someone, if they're left on their own, they're surely going to go down, but they have a fighting chance still. Bren Esports really do if they stick together, which we'll see here as they try and contest this gold mine. Limau putting down the Drifting Dark. Can they get the shot over the wall? No, they can't. It's going to go over to Tezza Boy on that Saw. And whoa, the damage coming through from that of Saw, Rhyme, and Choboka all together. Just destruction. Oh my lord.
That was a triple stun with the Valkyrie by Xingyi. They all stood together in one spot. Xingyi went, thank you very much. Let me just get a triple stun. Saw used that to his advantage. Easy basic attacks, 400 crit. Now they're going to try and defend their tier 3 turret, but it's gone already. And I hope our Crystal Jewel is here because that was awesome.
It's gone already. I am not just trying to sort out some technical difficulties, but Bren Esports have more than technical difficulties at their hands right now dealing with this comp. And we talked about how hard it would be to go up against what Renegades have picked. In the draft phase, we just looked at this and we were kind of like, damn. And I wanted to give hope to Bren Esports, and I still do with the comp they have if they're able to get the poke onto maybe Babs or take him out early, but Xingyi's starting to build up so much that he becomes a complete threat on his own, even if you go into the 1v1 phase, and even in the early game, if you were caught out alone by that of Xingyi. I actually thought Bren Esports would have a better early game, even though going up against the Saw, they kept pushing Tezza Boy back so many times. And we're going to see here Mr. Jim getting caught out by that. Oh, he dodges out the Valkyrie, but gets caught in the suppressing fire. Will go down in the end. And the portal just leading them back to Limauer on Samuel. Guessing going to try and back here, but Xingyi even put Chilled Winds, or Winter Spire, I should say, into that of the bush. Would have caught out Guessing, but Guessing trying to stay around, helping out the Samuel. But look how quickly they fall to that of the Rhyme. If you get locked down and you're standing on top of one of those Winter Spires, the damage is just too much to deal with. They corner Guessing, they're tormenting their food, and they're going to go ahead. Not the ace, Vox was up, but they will take the gold mine.
Absolutely love seeing these CC chains from Renegades. As I say that, he pulls the gold mine out of a Winter Spire. But in these team fights, it's so good to see. SNK will get a stun with his trespass. Immediately, Xingyi puts the Winter Spire down, so the first one hits because they're stunned, lands the root, the second one hits because they're rooted. Limau had nothing he could do, he hasn't got a reflex block, and Renegades, they just pull these CC chains off so well that even if a Valkyrie misses, because the Vox does go a different direction and dodge it, it doesn't matter, they're still going to secure the kill. They know how to play this properly. Boots is quite a heavy priority. There was Journey Boots on Rhyme, War Treads on SNK, and Travel Boots on Saw. So these Vox, this Lyra, and this Samuel just have no chance to run away, especially from that Rhyme.
Yeah, and we will see that with these teams right now, 14 kills on the side of Renegades over to 2 kills. And we've got 34.8k over to 24.9. They're basically at that 10k mark, and I could say if they win this next fight, it's very unlikely for Bren Esports to be able to make a comeback.
Yeah, the game might just be won. Rhyme trying to 1 versus 3.
Yep, and we see him going in. There's going to be Limauer going low. Doesn't look like he'll be able to escape. Gets pulled back by the Torment. The Oblivion blocked out. Trespass onto Mr. Jim, but he blocks himself. But won't matter in the end because Saw going to take him down and Guessing the last one standing for his team.
Yeah, so with the Shank, we'll secure the last hit onto that Vox, and Xingyi is a nightmare. 11-0 on the Rhyme. I said he went in 1 versus 3, but honestly, he didn't look like it. He was full health at the start of the fight. Near the end of the fight, he was still full health, and so Xingyi's just completely fine. On 89 CS over to the 48 of Limauer. This lead is certainly in Renegades' favour. There's a boy stacking up, and they will secure this gold mine. I'm not quite sure what the side of Bren Esports need to do. They need to try and steal this gold mine with a sigil, but it's going to go over to the Rhyme. And they need to just not look for a fight because they're so far behind that they have to just poke before the fight starts. And if they get engaged on by Rhyme, like this, it's game.
Yep, and we will see that they get caught out once again, forced to use that Crucible early on Mr. Jim. So very low, Guessing will be the first to fall, but Mr. Jim follows right after. Limauer, the last one, tormented and chained up, caught in the winds. and is going to fall for that ace. There's going to be Renegades pushing through without the Kraken. They think they can just end the game off the back of this.
Yeah, I agree. There's 10-second death timer on Guessing X, 15 on Millimauer. Just split the focus. Rhyme goes on the one that's far away. Saw goes on the one that's nearby. Saw's going to win that battle, but the turrets are gone. The Vein Crystal's exposed, and that is going to be game one, convincingly, to Bren Esports. So to Renegades.
Yeah, convincingly indeed to the side of Renegades as they take that one 19-2 and over a 10k gold lead. I believe is sitting about something like 12, almost 13k at the end there, where Renegades was sitting at about 40k. So with that, it's just drafting. It's all I could say. You rarely